As a beginner motorcyclist, getting on the highway for your first time can be very intimidating and scary. If you've been practicing on side streets, now you're working your way up to that on-ramp, getting on the highway for the first time, the speeds are way increased, there's a lot more traffic, everything's moving a lot faster, your mind has to process information a lot quicker, and your skills better be dialed in before you even think about getting on that highway. This can be a big problem that can discourage a lot of riders away from even attempting to get on the highway. So in this video, I'm going to give you 10 motorcycle highway hacks that'll help you be confident, safe, and prepared to get on that highway for the first time and have a safe and fun time doing it so you can get to your destination in one piece. Number 1, assume you're invisible. Always ride as if other drivers can't see you. This mindset helps you stay alert and proactive in avoiding potential hazards. Now, riding like you're invisible is probably some tip that you've heard before, but I want to take it one step further and encourage you to ride not like you're invisible, but like you have a target on your back and other motorists are actively trying to run you over and kill you. If you ride with this defensive mindset all the time, anticipating that people are out to get you, it's going to make you a lot safer rider in the long run. Number 2, wear bright gear. Increase your visibility by wearing bright or reflective clothing and using reflective tape on your bike. Get yourself that high-vis, neon-colored, highlighter-colored gear, pink, green, orange, yellow, whatever your favorite color is. Make sure that you're popping, standing out. That'll give you a way better chance for motorists to see you. Think about the last time you were driving in your car. You're playing with the stereo, you're looking at your cell phone, you're paying attention to the road yourself. The last thing you're probably able to see, even if you're looking for it, is this small motorcycle rider coming alongside of you. So keep that in mind when you're riding your own bike. Other motorists, even if they're actively trying to look for you and they want to do a good job and help not run you over, it's very hard to see motorcycles. So do yourself a favor, make yourself pop and stand out as much as possible to give yourself a chance of being seen if people are trying to look for you. Number 3, use hand signals. In addition to your bike's indicators like turn signals, brakes, headlights, you also want to use hand signals to communicate your intentions to other drivers. If you have the option to safely take your hands off the grips, raise your hand up, try to get someone's attention, then maybe that's an okay option. I want to encourage you to keep your hands on your grips near your controls, especially if it's your first time at these higher speeds on the highway. That way you're able to use your controls, clutch, brakes, shifting, anything you need to get yourself in and out of bad situations if need be. If you take your hands off the controls to give a signal to someone else, it's going to take you longer to get back to your controls and use them in the event of an emergency. Number 4, stay out of blind spots. Now, this should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. You always want to avoid riding in the blind spots of other vehicles, especially large trucks. This kind of goes hand in hand with making yourself visible. If you position yourself in the lane in a spot where other people expect to see a vehicle, and if someone turns their head, they can actually see you, this is a good recipe for success. If you're hiding hugged up next to cars in their blind spots, they're not going to see you. They're going to look in their mirror, check their mirror, look twice to save a life. They still don't see you. They're going to put on their blinker and merge over right on top of you, never having known that you were there in the first place. Don't ride in blind spots. If you realize you're in a blind spot, get yourself out of there. Slow it down, get out of it, accelerate, get out of it, change position, get out of the blind spot. Think about this next time you're driving your car down the road on the highway. Think and look around and see how many blind spots you have while you're driving that car. It's very hard to see things, especially where those pillars are blocking your view, and motorcycles can definitely hide in those spots. Number 5 is one I talk about in a lot of my videos, and it's really important to keep you safe, and that is to keep a safe following distance. You always want to maintain a safe following distance to give yourself ample time to react to sudden stops or obstacles. Think about this. If you're riding right up on somebody's butt and they suddenly slam on their brakes, how much time and space are you going to have to react? None. Alternatively, if you give yourself lots of space between you and that vehicle ahead of you, and also some cushion between vehicles on the sides of you and behind as well, you're going to have a lot more time to process things, to react to things, to move around, options to keep yourself safe and avoid crashing and dying on your motorcycle. More time, more space is good. Next up, we have hack number 6. But before we get into that, I just want to ask you a quick question. What do you think of my shirt? Pretty sweet, right? All right, number 6, check your mirrors frequently. When riding a motorcycle, you want to regularly check your mirrors to stay aware of what's happening behind you and to the sides. Now, keep in mind that just like when driving a car, you have blind spots. On a motorcycle, you also have blind spots. Just by looking in your mirrors, you cannot see everything. So you actually need to turn your head, look over your shoulder, do a nice head check in addition to looking in your mirrors to make sure and see everything to the sides and behind you. Other motorcycle riders can definitely hide in your blind spots while on a motorcycle. I've had people before where I was riding solo, just going on my way, having a good time. They saw me on the road, they cruised up alongside me, and they were riding in my blind spot, just hanging out, having a good time, cruising along with another bike. I was thankful to look in my mirror, to check over my shoulder and identify that they were there and be aware of them before I had to make sudden moves and cut them off and get us both killed, right? So make sure that you're always checking your mirrors as well as head over the shoulder check to check your blind spot. Number 7, plan your route. When riding a motorcycle, especially on the highway, you want to know your route in advance to avoid sudden lane changes and ensure a smoother ride. If you're cruising on the highway, all of a sudden there's your exit, you don't want to have to make that split second push on the hand grip, swerve over there to get on the off ramp and get off the road at 70, 80 miles per hour, do you? No. Instead, you want to know your route ahead of time, have it mapped out, have it planned out, keep an eye out for landmarks and road signs and stuff like this. Know where you're going, know how to get there. And if you do see that exit and there it goes, don't try to make that sudden maneuver and get off. Just keep cruising down the road, get off at the next one, trying to work your way back. In the event you get lost, in this day and age, how easy is it to pull your bike over somewhere safe, pull out your cell phone, look up the directions, update your GPS, and then find your way from there. Making sudden lane changes and being unpredictable on your bike is a really good way to get yourself run over and killed. Don't do it. Number 8, stay hydrated. Now, this is one I've talked about in some videos before about riding during the summer months and hot weather riding. But even if it's not hot outside, staying hydrated is crucial to keeping yourself aware, alert, feeling good, and be able to get down the road safely in one piece. Especially if you're doing long highway rides, these can be very dehydrating. So make sure to drink plenty of water. That's a good idea. Just make sure to separate drinking and breathing. I like to take this water bottle with me whenever I go for a motorcycle ride. I fill it up all the way to the top before I leave. When I get to my destination, wherever that may be, I make sure to drink as much water as I can, refill it all the way to the top before I leave to return back to where I started. Make sure you always have a good supply of water on you, or make sure you have a backpack with a camelback built in. That way you have extra water at your disposal in the event of an emergency. Now, I mentioned arriving at my destination and drinking some water. Now, this goes kind of hand in hand with motorcycle hack number 9, which is take breaks. This means regardless of your motorcycle journey and how long it's going to take you, you want to make sure and stop every couple hours to rest and stretch. If you're not going on that long of a ride, you can still stop and stretch every half hour, every 20 minutes, as often as you need to. If your back starts to cramp up, if your legs are feeling a little tight, if you're kind of bunched up in your shoulders and you need to loosen things up, take as many breaks as needed, as necessary, as you feel you need to make the ride as enjoyable and the journey as enjoyable as possible. There's no rush to get where you're going. At least there shouldn't be. So take your time, take breaks. This helps prevent fatigue and keeps you alert. Not only will your body be exhausted and fatigued while riding a motorcycle, but your mind is definitely going to be way overstimulated with all the things going on, especially your first time riding your motorcycle on the highway. So take as many breaks as you can. Keep yourself fresh and feeling good. And motorcycle highway hack number 10 is to practice your emergency maneuvers. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you probably heard me talk about this all the time, and that is to regularly practice emergency braking and swerving to be prepared for unexpected situations. Especially when riding your motorcycle on the highway, this is very important because unexpected situations can happen in the blink of an eye. A car next to you suddenly swerves into your lane. Somebody in front of you suddenly slams on their brakes. Somebody comes ripping up speeding behind you. Another motorcyclist doing a wheelie, lane splitting at 170 miles an hour, blows your doors off. There's a lot of things that can happen out there. Maybe you're cruising along and everything's fine, and all the cars and trucks in front of you are cruising and there's no worries, and all of a sudden there's a big piece of debris in the road, a big chunk of metal, a wooden board, a tire bouncing at you at high speed. If you haven't practiced your emergency braking or swerving in a while, then good luck to you. However, if you regularly practice these skills and have your techniques dialed in, even in a panic or fearful situation like this, you'll have that muscle memory developed to be able to react properly, quickly, and safely to get yourself out of a bad situation and give yourself the best chance for survival. Don't wait until there's an emergency to make it the first time you practice your swerve this month. Go out in a parking lot every time you're preparing to ride. Practice your skills for 5-10 minutes before you hit the road. Make sure that your skills are dialed in and that you're ready to rock and roll. And if you're still feeling a little scared or nervous or overwhelmed about the idea of getting on the highway on your motorcycle, just remember, practice this stuff, take your time, work your way up at your own pace. There's no hurry to get on the highway on your motorcycle. Stick to back roads and low speed and low traffic situations as long as you need to until you feel confident and ready to take that next step. It's a big one. And if you're still having trouble and you're just not getting it and you're unsure, just remember, like Goku always says, where there's a will, there's a way. Are you a brand new rider thinking about getting on the highway soon? Are you an experienced rider who's ridden on the highway for 40 years on your motorcycle? Leave a comment down below and let us know what your situation is. If you have any tips or advice for other motorcycle riders, if you have any fears or things you're worried about that are holding you back, leave your comment below, ask questions, give advice, give suggestions and tips, help one another out in this community so we can all be safer out on the roads together. But what if the highway's not really a big problem for you, but there's other mistakes you keep making on your motorcycle? Then watch this video next to see 5 common mistakes beginner riders make and how you can avoid them.